The following is going to be a re-recording of this presentation of the marketing and branding recommendations for Waterbury, Vermont. Before we do anything, we always like to look at what logos currently exist, not only in the community, but in the communities that surround. The Waterbury Tourism Council created the green oval to the top left, and that got adopted by the town for use on the town website. In addition to that, Revitalizing Waterbury created the diamond-shaped logo that's been around for a while. And we honestly believe that the tagline "Miracles Happen," that might have been needed when RW first started, but the community has definitely come a long way, and it's time for everybody to get a refresh. In addition to that, though, it's always good to look at what the other competition is doing. And we just pulled some of the town logos that came up when you did a search for towns in Vermont. And you can see that there's not a lot that is very creative. A lot of church steeples, a lot of mountains, and we just wanted to make a commitment to ourselves to try to do something that was a little bit different for Waterbury because you are such a unique community. We want to talk about the elements that go into creating the foundation of the brand. And we always like to start off with a color palette. These colors are colors that are connected to the community. They were drawn out of images that we took in the community. And we have to think about how these colors are going to play against the actual colors that exist in the community. One of the comments that was made over and over again is there's a lot of brick. A lot of brick color and brick buildings, especially in the downtown core. So we had to make sure that the color palette that we selected was complementary to that. But we also had to think about things like as we implement signage, we want to make sure that that signage is able to stick out from that brick instead of blending into it. So we selected 3 different blues that kind of transition from a blue-gray into a rich dark blue and a lighter accent blue. And then we've got some kind of variations of a gold to almost a deep brown. And then we also have a kind of rich burgundy and a lighter brick tone. Then we also needed to select some typefaces. And in this particular system, what we've actually done is we've selected 2 primary typefaces, a script and a traditional slab serif. And then we selected 3 extension typefaces, and you'll see how those will manifest in the brand extension. But then one of the most important things is to have a brand statement. And the brand statement is the unification of the message. It is the opportunity for us to begin to wrap our arms around all the different stories that we want to tell about Waterbury and be able to really start to bring all of these different things that people hold dear together into a unified direction. So I'm going to read for you our brand statement. We are Waterbury, Vermont. We are a place of uncommon ideas. Whether it is a small coffee roaster that introduced the world to single-serving warmth, to ice cream scoops with funny names and strange flavors that became known all over the world. We are sculptors, artists, snowboard makers, chefs, farmers, and tea blenders, connected to this place where your all-access pass is the passion you bring. We are a place of uncommon welcome Native Vermonters mix with newcomers that have discovered what a special place this is. They share a common purpose and a common belief that this community will nurture our families, educate our children, and cultivate our friendships. We are an authentic place that is far from remote or isolated, but at the very crossroads of life in the Green Mountain State. We are a place of uncommon recreation. Our mountain bike trails, river walk, parks, and reservoir are unrivaled places to satisfy your greatest outdoor pursuits. Here, you can leave work and be on the slopes in less time than it takes to commute home in most places. Here, you can even engage in a friendly game of croquet in the dead of winter. We are a place of uncommon connections. The food on the plates of our restaurants comes from the bounty of nearby farms, and the beer in the glass at our pubs is brewed with a dose of magic just up the road. Food and farms make us a gathering place for people near and far who converge here to connect with one another and reconnect with what living in Vermont is all about. We are a place of uncommon caring. Concern for our neighbors is built into our history as a place where those with challenging needs found help. Through a great flood, we bound together with common purpose and brought our community back from devastation. Neighbors helping neighbors is simply part of who we are, no matter how we found our way here. We invite you to experience the uncommon and feel the warmth of a genuine community. Savor our farm-to-table food, sip a glass of our beer, a mug of coffee, or a cup of cider. Travel our trails on foot or by bike. Immerse yourself in our art. Get a gift in our stores or food from our farms. Experience our special place and our home. We are Waterbury, uncommonly Vermont. So all of a sudden, you get all of the message that comes together. You bring together those colors, you bring together that typeface, and you begin to manifest that self in a logo. Now, one of the things that we felt very strongly about was we simply cannot capture the multitude of assets and experiences that Waterbury, Vermont has in a literal image. You all said over and over again that the location, the geographic location, the convenient proximity was something that was very, very important. And we do not think that using the Vermont state outline is groundbreaking in thought. It simply gives us some sort of graphic to tie into it. But you'll see how that manifests, especially in brand extension. Gives us the freedom to be able to really bring different images in for our different organizations and events. But we want the photos to tell the story of Waterbury. We want the imagery to really capture. We need to be able to let people know where we are and invite them to come see what is truly, truly unique about Waterbury. We always like to make sure that the system works, that we have brand extension, and that we have an identity system that can operate in one color, in black and white. So here we like to test that out. We have the variation that has the tagline, but then also just has the simple modifier for Vermont. And then we even have on the right-hand side a stylized version, and we'll see here in a little bit how that fits in. We also have the different color options on what we're calling the badged version. We wanted to be able to have this kind of unique shape that could be yours. And we've got a full color version. We're showing how it would work in one color spot color, and then also the black and white. And then we also wanted to give a very horizontal version as well, based off the different ads that we knew that you might do. Being able to have that just it gives you additional tools to be able to roll this out. But then one of the things that is kind of unique, and this is where the system can really grow some legs for longevity. You don't need this logo to tell your entire story. You need this logo to be versatile enough to be connected with all of the different stories that you can tell. And what we actually did was we started to create a more formalized, almost a word type version of the tagline itself. So that this whole concept of how you are all of the things that are best about Vermont, plus so much more. And that uncommonly Vermont is something that you can not only be proud of, but really build into something that is extremely marketable. So we've got a kind of standardized approach to the design for uncommonly Vermont, and then even future extension into just being able to use on whether it is talking about things like unfarmer, unartist, or even describing things like unstore. And we even talked about how cool it would be to have a program where you're promoting people that are you know thinking creatively and starting new businesses, and they could be entrepreneurs. So you've got this great opportunity to really take this and start to make it your own. Now, in the short term, we wanted to make sure that we could give you some ways to roll this out and implement it. It's all well and good to show these images, but we need to be able to roll it out in a systematic way. So in the short term, you want to focus on an initial launch. You want to adopt the brand identity. RW board can take that and run with it, and then have it filter its way into those other organizations, tourism council and town. Then you want to have some sort of brand launch event. And this can either be an independent event, it can be wrapped into one of the events that already happens, but you really want to introduce this to the community. Then we get to the launch collateral. We want to begin to have some things that we can have um, during that brand launch event that we can automatically get out so that the image starts to make its way out in the community. So whether it's banners or things like that. Then in addition, we want to begin to extend the brand identity to partner organizations. We like to show you a little bit about what that would look like. So obviously our client is RW, so we wanted to start there. RW is an organization, and they're an organization that has been around a long time and done some really, really great things. So they also have been able to kind of adopt this identity of RW instead of just revitalizing Waterbury. And we don't typically love acronyms, but if an acronym comes about organically and begins to be used by the people, then it has some validity. So we wanted to solidify that. We wanted to give this organization the opportunity to very quickly and easily kind of put their mark on things. So that's why we designed a monogram approach for their logo. And we have to remember this is an economic development organization, and the only real need that they have for this graphic identity is to recruit volunteers, inform people of what it is that they have done, and build support, financial support and manpower support for the future of what they do. But you can kind of see how this is a very simple approach. It's not overthought, but it gives us that opportunity just to kind of stamp our name on things. And then, we also have these kind of different taglines, different concepts that connect to the four-point approach of the Main Street model: economic restructuring, design, organization, and promotion. And really kind of taking this idea of uncommon commitment, uncommon ingenuity, uncommon heart, and uncommon events. And they merge themselves together to create this uncommon vision for the community. Then we're excited about this new organization, the Waterbury Area Development Corporation. This is a true economic development organization that's going to operate in that realm, and um, they're going to be competing against other ED corporations and people that kind of have that slick development look. And we wanted to make sure that they had a image that really allowed them to compete in that market. We jump over the Tourism Council. Again, we've mentioned them already. Tourism Council is the ones that generated the original oval logo that pretty much got adopted on the townwide use. And we wanted to give them a variation. Again, this is an organizational identity. The biggest thing that the Tourism Council logo would be used for is simply connecting those efforts that they have, connecting the things that they fund and the tools that they're able to deploy. But we really wanted them to be able to be part of the organization that starts to stress the experiences that can be had in Waterbury, and really kind of introduce this whole concept of the perfect place to be an untourist. There's no doubt, I mean, as the home of Ben and Jerry's, you have the largest tourism draw in the state. I mean, it brings more people in. It is amazing that your community has been able to maintain the character that it has. And you want to make sure that you allow those major attractions to do the heavy lifting, and then you begin to spin those visitors off to go to these other experiences that are so unbelievably rich and so unbelievably Vermont. Then even taking things like the public library, you see where the typeface really begins to connect all these together, but you can create your own personality and your own flair from organization to organization. We know that the Waterbury Duxbury School District is doing some really great things. They've been investing over the past decade and are really trying to constantly uh, enhance education because they know the importance of educating our next generation. So we wanted to give them a look that took off the current logo of the Canada geese and outline of their district, and gave them something that was a little more progressive and a little more slick, but still preserving that whole idea of taking flight. The schools are the place where the futures begin. So we wanted to give them a nice professional look as well. Historical Society is a very important organization, and we wanted to again just kind of show how this identity could roll over to them. We can put any building on this logo. We are always kind of impacted by the visual presence of this building that terminates the vista of Stowe Street. But if the building that's featured is the depot, or anything can be featured there. But the Historical Society, obviously, it feels like it connects with the whole system as well. And then the 250th anniversary. I mean, this is a big deal to be able to celebrate the community and being around for 250 years. So for this, we wanted to create a seal that could go on to be the new town crest. And with that, we actually wanted to design something that was uniquely yours. So, what we did was we started with the foundation of the Vermont state crest. We then filled the center with the family crest of the Wentworth family, which was the governor who was granted the land by the king that Waterbury now sits. So that in the center, the three lion heads on the upward chevron, those are that's the Wentworth family crest. It is it is topped by a sheep, which we read about the sheep mania in Waterbury's history. We know that the sheep were a very important part of your economy there for a while. The sheep is actually flanked by two coffee branches, which we thought was a nice homage to the industry. You've got a global headquarters right in the heart of your downtown. We also have maple leaves to the right of the crest and beer hops to the left. All of these things kind of paying tribute to the culture and business community today. Of course, we have 1763, 2013, or 250 years, and then we also even have we have this idea of uncommon community in Latin as your slogan along the bottom. This gives you this unbelievably timeless look for the town. This is the type image that can be around for decades because it pays tribute to the community, and it does not have to do the heavy lifting of marketing. It really is a representation of the government and their function. So, that's we felt like that was something that was very important to have, but it is different from the marketing logo. It's just like colleges and universities. They have an athletic logo and an academic logo, and they do that because they need some separation there. If the football season is horrible, they don't want that to affect admissions and vice versa. Next, we want to see this brand extension move on into the events that go on. And what we start to do is we start to truly stitch together all these positive experiences that visitors to the community have. Whether it's at the farmers market, the intergalactic winter croquet tournament. This is one of my favorite logos that I've ever designed. Of course, the Stowe Street Arts Festival. And one of the comments that we heard over and over again was that it is a little frustrating that you've got this major event and you essentially are promoting another community's name in it. And, we don't think that it is necessary to change the name of the arts festival. It's got such an established kind of identity in the community. But if you decided you wanted to, as you launched all this down the road, it could become the Waterbury Festival of Uncommon Arts. So you can kind of see where this brand tagline can start to take you into extension and growth for the identity of the events that you put. Uh, we also wanted to focus on collateral, and um, we think that your organizations, you need to always make sure that they have professional business card, letterhead. Um, Want to create a shared economic development folder that both RW and WADC can use. Create a common web page that can begin to tell the stories of the community. And then also banners, street banners. We know that there's some funding to be able to do those for the 250th, and we want to make sure that they really perform some strategic functions in the community. We also want to launch the Uncommon Hero Award. And this is an opportunity for us to celebrate those people in the community that are truly making a difference. These are the ones who are dedicating their time, and they're just getting out there, and whether they're starting a business, whether they're volunteers, whether they are um, just really breaking ground. They can be new to the community. They can have been here for decades. But these are the people who really are illustrating how this community is so unique and so creative. So that's something that we think is real important. Now, as far as the business head, letterhead, making sure that the town looks professional, being able to um, have business cards for the municipal manager, things like that. Um, Same thing with the WADC. The, these are just simple tools to be able to communicate professionally. Now, as far as banners go, the banners are something that oftentimes they get over designed because they're designed against a white backdrop, and we feel like we need to put so much on them. What I really think is important in Waterbury is to have our banners screen printed, which means that they will be inked directly on canvas instead of the vinyl banners that they have that you can print multiple colors on. I think we should have a solid color with a single color printed on top of it. And what that will allow us to do is it will allow us to create a very, very solid rhythm along the poles, and it will allow us to lower the visual ceiling and distract from some of the clutter of all of the power lines that go through the heart of downtown. So being able to create an opportunity to kind of lower that visual cone and really allow people to focus in on the street level, which is really a stunning and kind of warm setting. So keeping them simple, keeping them clean, and being able to have that color that will help to create a rhythm through the community. We also are excited about being able to offer the opportunity to launch Uncommonly Vermont. We bought the domain, we set up hosting for you, and already have the site live. And what we really think that is important to do is just have a place that you can tell the story of the community. It can be everything from independent businesses that are listed there to the events that are going on, to stories of your history, and it can be something that just kind of constantly grows and changes. But you can kind of see that we have certain categories there. We've got information about RW, opportunities to get involved with the community. But then we also have categories like the beer nut and foodie, and this way we can start to stitch these together and help people to experience the community in a way that they might not be able to if they just went to a standard brochure. Then one of the other things that we'd really like to do is we'd like for you to create what we're calling the Uncommon Guide to Waterbury, and we think that this would be the kind of thing that be great if our business owners had some of these kind of under the counter at work, and when somebody came in and was particularly interested and inquisitive about the community, you could just reach down and grab that Uncommon Guide and give them that and say this is your opportunity to see Waterbury the way that a local would, and tell some of those great stories. I mean, we were talking about, you could even have these tracks. So, like for a beer fan, it could be Waterbury, and for the food, it could be Waterbury, and for the outdoor hiker, it could be Walkerberry, and you have all these different categories to tell the story. Then as we move into the middle term, we want to continue on with the brand making its way out into the community. So we want to develop some targeted marketing. We want to launch a walking wayfinding system. We'll show you what that means. And begin to launch the Uncommon marketing campaign. Along with, we'd love to see an ad grant program where we can actually offer a small matching ad grant to our local business community so that as they begin to market themselves, we also can get them to start marketing Waterbury as a destination. And then also begin to really look at having a brand steward. And we'd love to see the organizations in the community be able to have a person that is truly managing the identity, a designer that can make sure that the things that designer or designers that can make sure that the things that are produced are all in the same spirit. So we talked about this walking campaign, the Walkerberry, uncommonly walkable. This is taken from a really cool open source idea that started in Raleigh, North Carolina. And what the guy actually did was he printed up these signs in the middle of the night and went and put them all over town. And they were not sanctioned. They were not necessarily legal at the time, but they went up and everybody loved them. And in fact, they were done so professionally that they were up for several weeks because everyone assumed that someone else in the city was in charge of it because it was so well done. He has 4 different categories that he identified. Institutional civic landmark is blue, public open space is green, commercial district node and center is purple, and then an amusement or other is kind of a goldenrod. And the way that these would look is they're very conversational, and everything is in a minute walk. It's not distance, it's time. So you can point people to these different destinations and talk about how pleasant a walk it could be. And the signs even include a QR code that you can scan to get a path of the walk on your phone. So you can kind of see a 7-minute walk to Foodie Heaven, 3-minute walk to Swings, an 8-minute walk to the river, 14-minute walk to ice cream. So it's very fun. It's very conversational. Then launching this Uncommon campaign, we know that we have several amenities that are known, not just around the community, around the region, around the state, but around the world. And we want to take things like Ben and Jerry's ice cream and start to use that to springboard the rest of the story. Things like Green Mountain Coffee Roasters and Keurig. And then regionally, even taking things like The Alchemist and using that to help tell the story, showing that imagery of life and fun times in Waterbury. And then even telling the stories of those unique events that are truly yours. And I can honestly say I have never been to another community that has had a winter croquet tournament. So that is definitely a first. Then in the long term, we need to be able to think about launching some comprehensive wayfinding signage, improving our gateways into the community itself. And then even considering some more guerrilla style, both marketing and art, your community that can truly get away with things that are outside of the norm, and being really creative about that, I think, fits with your personality. And then in the long term, you can also, once you have begun to launch and truly kind of saturate this concept of uncommon, you can move into really just owning un. It'll take a little while for you to make the initial connection, but then that brand extension becomes almost limitless. So with the signage, we always want to make sure that any signage recommendations that we're making, the overall goal should be to decrease the total amount of signage in the community. So whether people to our downtown when they're at a key decision point, we know that so many people come to the community and they turn on 100 and don't even know that downtown exists. So being able to point them to those destinations, and also remembering that when you're putting that sign up, believe it or not, it has two sides. And oftentimes we forget the back altogether and we do nothing with that space. But being able to kind of reinforce some of that character, and even feature things like historic postcard photos and things like that can be a way that you could use the back to enhance character. District map sign. This is a simple sign that goes in typically in places where the people transition from being vehicular traffic into pedestrians. So right along sidewalks or parking lots as you're getting out, help them to orient and let them know what all is around and what all they can experience. Pedestrian scale destination identification. These are simple signs that help us to show off our different destinations and even feature their hours. And then the more to explore sign. This is a sign that allows us to bring businesses into the signage mix. They can buy a Lexan panel that gets affixed to the sign. We kind of point out different businesses that maybe are directly off of our main drag. And you do have businesses kind of mixed all in your central core that will help. These signs can help people to discover those. And then, of course, we need to think about our gateways. Everybody knows exactly um, what it's like to drive underneath this to come into Waterbury. Wouldn't it be great if in the dead of night um, we we went through and we made that more attractive? And we are very aware that working with the railroad to get this done will take some work, but we do feel like it is a very important goal to set, to be able to make sure that your front door is attractive and that you really get in and set the tone as you enter into the community. We had somebody who told us it's like, one of the gauges of whether this will work or not is if it's t-shirt worthy. We wanted to make sure that we had some cool opportunities to do some things that could simply go on merchandise and marketing materials, and we really do think that. But then we also just wanted to start to tell that story visually and be able to give you this opportunity to stitch together. And just remember that when you put a message out, it doesn't have to tell every single story you could ever think of. Sometimes focusing in on the experience and the simplicity of things. Um, when you create an overarching campaign, that's where the multitude to come in and make its impact. Alchemist, whether it's the cider mill, you start one of these, we are depositing new words and new concepts into the uncommon system, uncommonly natural, uncommon lunch hour, uncommon flavors, uncommonly homemade, uncommonly scenic, uncommonly sweet, uncommon harvest, uncommon moments, uncommon spirit, uncommon downtown. So with all of these ads, what we are doing is we are literally step by step by step making uncommonly Vermont yours. And, it could be said that, any community could say that. Well, that might be true, but the company could have said, just do it. But Nike said it, and then they repeated it over and over and over again, and made it mean something. And they made it mean something so strong that no one would dare say it. And I feel like Waterbury has that same potential. Uncommonly connected, uncommonly spirited, uncommon education, uncommon strolls, uncommon character, uncommon lunch, uncommonly welcome, uncommon fresh, uncommonly illuminated, uncommon arts, uncommon independence, uncommon fall color. For the next steps, after we get back brand refinement, we'll be creating a comprehensive style guide. That style guide will help us to present consistent delivery of the brand identity and the message. And we also will be creating variations of every logo that you've seen. All the photography is yours. All of the logos are yours. And the goal is not only to arm the organizations with these tools, but to also arm the business community with these tools, and to really get out and start to make this identity seen and heard by people in the region. And we really hope that you like what you saw. We understand that anytime you do this and anytime you put a new look on a place that people call home, that it is something that is scary to many people. It's something that is uncomfortable, that sense of change. But we want you to know that we think that Waterbury, Vermont is one of the most amazing communities in the entire country. And you all deserve to have a unique flavor and a character that allows you to really speak to what is truly different about the place that you call home. But it's also extremely important to know that one of the things that is great about Waterbury is the fact that it has been able to fight the change. It has been able to maintain a spirit while still having visitors come to the community. And we wanted to position that as something that was important for you to preserve. We want you to continue to be what is great about the way Vermont used to be. You still have it today, and you should still have it moving forward. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you for taking the time to look through this and listen to what we had to say. And thank you so much for your passion for your community. Have a great day.